No forgiveness from the president, not even at the National Prayer Breakfast, after walking in a while ago holding up an acquittal headline there. The president called impeachment a terrible ordeal.
Well, then at the prayer breakfast, of course, a religious moment, or what is meant to be, he lashed out, taking not veiled shots really at all at those who opposed him, while one of them that he was taking a shot at, Speaker Pelosi, sat just a few feet away, and Romney another target too. Have a listen.
They know what they are doing is wrong, but they put themselves far ahead of our great country. Weeks ago and again yesterday, courageous Republican politicians and leaders had the wisdom, fortitude, and strength to do what everyone knows was right. I don't like people who use their faith as justification for doing what they know is wrong. Nor do I like people who say, "I pray for you," when they know that that's not so. So many people have been hurt, and we can't let that go on.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi looking on there as he referenced, we believe, her comment in the past to say she prays for him. Let's begin at the White House. CNN White House correspondent John Harwood. Listen, national prayer breakfasts have become political events, but this one particularly political, was it not? And bitingly political.
Exceptionally so, just like the State of the Union a couple of days ago. Look, a Democratic member of Congress, Tom Suozzi, took the microphone at the end and said, you know, that whole love thine enemies thing, some people haven't gotten it yet. Donald Trump is not a person who feels himself subject to the dictates of the Christian faith. He did the opposite of what Bill Clinton did after he was acquitted in 1999. Bill Clinton came out in the Rose Garden and apologized to the country and to the Congress for putting them through the agony of an impeachment process. Instead, what President Trump is doing is coming to the prayer breakfast and saying, I am the victim here. They've done wrong to me. That's simply the way Donald Trump is. It's not the way that Nancy Pelosi or Mitt Romney is, but that's the president that America elected in 2016.
Yeah, I think Senator John Tester said it pretty bluntly in our interview with him last hour about, you know, what having morals, et cetera, means, as you noted, John. Thanks very much from the White House. Manu Raju is with us right now from Capitol Hill. Lonnie Chen, former Mitt Romney policy director, and Hillary Rosen, Democratic strategist. Hi, guys. Let me begin with you, Manu. I don't think that we knew that the president was going to. It's no surprise that he came in with that acquittal paper, et cetera. But what do you make of him taking those direct faith-based attacks on Romney and Nancy Pelosi?
Well, aside from this being typically a bipartisan event, typically something that is apolitical, and the president going after his political foes, and which was a rather surprising move by the president, but it also sort of undercuts what some Republicans have been saying on Capitol Hill, is that they believe that the president may have learned some lessons about what happened through the course of this investigation. That the president has been impeached over his actions with the Ukraine, and that he perhaps won't do it again. And I can tell you, I talked to some top Republicans over the last couple of days about that, why they believe the president might believe that there are some lessons learned, and listen to how they responded here.
Should he acknowledge that he did something wrong here?
You know, I don't expect that he will, but I think it's a lot of it too is kind of in the eyes of the beholder. I think he doesn't think he did. For many of us who sort of have been around the conventions of this town a little bit longer, look at that and say, perhaps. Maybe something that he shouldn't have done.
Do you actually think the president is not going to ask an informed power to investigate a political rival again?
Well, I think the message has been delivered. I think it's clear now where that line is, and none of us want to see interference, obviously, in our elections.
So they're saying the message has been delivered to the president, but the president does not seem to be taking that message. So last night, even Susan Collins of Maine, who voted to acquit the president, has criticized his conduct, said it was her aspiration that the president wouldn't do it again, but he doesn't quite know, and the president clearly is showing no contrition whatsoever. And we'll see if he doubles down and maybe asks again for an investigation into the Bidens later today, when I'm sure he'll be asked when he addresses the press later, guys.
Yeah, hope's not a plan. I think you can say that with credibility. Landy Chen, you of course worked with Mitt Romney as a policy director. I want to play that moment when he described why he came to this decision, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. Have a quick listen.
I am profoundly religious. My faith is at the heart of who I am. I take an oath before God as enormously consequential. I knew from the outset that being tasked with judging the president, the leader of my own party, would be the most difficult decision I have ever faced. I was not wrong. The grave question the Constitution tasks senators to answer is whether the president committed an act so extreme and egregious that it rises to the level of a high crime and misdemeanor. Yes, he did.
Landy, you worked for him. That pause, I mean, almost it seemed moved to tears there. Tell us about how difficult a decision it was for him.
Well, I think, Jim, as he said, it was the most difficult decision he's had to make, certainly in public life. Look, I've known Mitt Romney for a long time. I've worked closely with him. I take with great pride my association with him. I think that he is someone, and I know he is someone, who is deeply moved by his faith, who acts on that faith sincerely. And I have no doubt in my mind that this vote was based on what he sincerely believed he needed to do. And I don't question that. I don't believe anybody else should question that. I think those who do don't know the man and are speaking from a place of not knowing him and understanding him. I know good people of good conscience who disagree with the final vote, who came out very differently, who are also people of faith. And I don't think, by the way, that Senator Romney would say that those people were in the wrong for having made the decision that they made. But at the end of the day, you just can't question a man's conscience in that way when, I know that he has acted in many times. He's made tough decisions. This one was, though, I think, the toughest.
It was clear, as you were noting, in the pause. I mean, when he pauses for that long, you see how hard it is for him to get through that statement. Hillary, sort of twofold question to you. One, in the middle of all this, the president is now enjoying his highest approval rating yet of his presidency, 49%. And then you have Judiciary Chairman Jerry Nadler saying, this isn't stopping. We're going to continue. We're going to investigate. Everything is still on the table. We're going to subpoena Bolton. Is that prudent for Democrats, as someone who advises them on what is politically wise?
Look, this morning just proves that there is literally Donald Trump can't sink any lower in class. I think, having said that, Democrats essentially have to accept that. Nancy Pelosi came to this impeachment reluctantly. She didn't want to do it. She resisted members of her caucus, like Jerry Nadler, for months in giving the go-ahead for impeachment. And it was only when he threatened national security, and Adam Schiff had direct evidence of that she finally gave the go-ahead. I think this idea of subpoenaing John Bolton, is appealing, but John Bolton has every incentive to speak out on his own. I honestly think that the Democrats at this point are better off talking to the country about jobs, about health care, about the issues that matter to their kitchen table. We were just in Iowa this week. Voters are not talking about impeachment. Democrats shouldn't be either.